Hello, Year 11. I hope you're all doing exceptionally well. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's so nice to see you all. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm trying to get everything working here. It's been a bit of a mad rush to get home, to be quite frank with you. But here we are. It's nice to see you all. Right, system software. Today should be a mercifully short one. 5 of you here. That is amazing. Please do say hello in the comments. And let me try to get rid of this. Move this across here. The mistake I made was it said, do you want to update your software? And I said, yes. That was not a very good choice because it's kind of updated, but it hasn't really done what I wanted it to do. So I'm hoping that in the next 20 seconds, I can actually find what it is that I wanted it to do. And this is a lesson to you all. When it asks you to give something a sensible name, give it a sensible name and don't do what I did. Okay, presentations? Yeah, let's try that one. Okay, cool. So, guys, it's really nice to see you. We're going to look at system software today, and this is a topic that people often don't sort of have much to do with because people think they know it all already. And the truth is, it's really just a series of lists that you need to learn. So we'll go through those lists and think about really. Think about how you can do it. So we have Crims. It's been so long. Welcome to you, and it's great to see you. And we've got Imsum 9X. Hello, nice to see you as well. It is great to see you. So well done. We had 5 in. This is great. I'm really just faffing around trying to find the profile which has actually got what I want to do. Just bear with me a second. PGT default, no. Profile 1. Bad naming convention, no. Year 11, you'd think, no. It said you want to install, oh, bingo, Ecamm Live, that's what I called it. Okay, all right, cool. It all works now. So here we are. This is what we're looking at. This is operating systems. Do you know what? This is dead easy, guys. I recommend that I'll send you this PowerPoint. I recommend that when you go through this, you just create a series of mnemonics to help you remember this stuff because... And I know I teach the subject. This bit is a bit dry. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. So I'm going to tell you all about operating systems. It's not the most exciting, but actually it's a really good opportunity to pick up lots and lots and lots and lots of marks. Hi, Dan. How are you? Welcome. I reckon 25 minutes, half an hour, we can be done with this. So bingo, here we are. We're at 1.5. Network security, I've got no concerns for any of you guys about because your knowledge on that is really good. Hopefully, networks, connections and protocols you're feeling more confident with. Memory and storage, I know that you know. Systems architecture, go and learn the registers and what they do. And apart from that, I think you're more or less there on that. All right, so this from the specification, this is what it's all about, is the purpose and functionality of operating systems. In English, what does the operating system do? So it really is just lists of things that the OS does. So I'm going to use OS for operating system just to save breath, okay? So we'll be looking at user interface, which is the... Well, we'll get to what a user interface is. We'll look at memory management and multitasking, peripheral management like printers, plotters, that sort of stuff, peripheral devices, and then user management, so different user profiles, etc., and then looking at file management. Okay, so all of these things that system software can do. All right. So what you do need to know is each function that it does and what a user interface is. And we'll look at different types of user interface as well. And we'll get to those in a minute. Memory management, what it does, quite straightforward really. And understanding that, here we go, we're down to here. Understanding that data is transferred between devices and the processor and that this process has to be managed by the operating system. There we go, that's my big build-up for you there. And then we'll look at user management functions, the sort of thing you can do to manage users, like allocating somebody an account, giving them access rights, access to these files and not those files, giving them read access, write access, etc. And then security, all right? And then file management, and this really is just a long list of things that you can do inside an operating system in terms of file management. Happy with that? So that's pretty much what we're going to go through today. So it is quite a lot of lists. It says 10-minute teach. Do you know what? I think we'll be done in 15 minutes. So, and then you can go off and enjoy your evening. All right, 5 in. Do say hello. 3 of you have. Right, 1.5.1 OS. Okay. So first of all, what does system software do? Now, this is usually a 1-mark question at the start, and this is all going to be about how many marks it's worth, so I can guide you to where you spend your time, all right? So what does system software do? The first thing is it oversees the computer system, and it supports multitasking. Now, I want to unpick this a little bit. Supports multitasking we're happy with. What I really want you to think about is, this says straight line. Well, it is a straight, it's not a very straight line. By controlling memory resources. So this is the key thing, that the operating system controls RAM, okay? It controls how RAM is allocated. If you think about it, we know from our previous work that RAM holds all the applications and the data currently in use. You'll get 1 mark for that somewhere, as opposed to cache, which we'll get to, but that's about, we'll deal with cache. That's frequently used data and instructions, okay? So the operating system manages RAM, all right? And so therefore it controls the memory resources, i.e. RAM. So if you think about it, if you've got 3 or 4 applications open, it's the operating system that will decide how much RAM to allocate to each application, all right? So it also controls internal and external hardware, drivers. Now, drivers, they don't generally ask you much about drivers, but it's a given that you understand that a driver is a piece of software that sits between a peripheral device, like something like a camera or a printer. So when say Epson or Canon, they make a new printer, they will bundle with it a piece of software that consists of the driver, and the driver allows the communication between the hardware, your computer, and the device you're using. So the operating system uses these drivers to enable communication to happen between your PC and the hardware that you're using, like the printer, okay? Lost my mouse. I hope that makes sense. It also provides a platform for applications to run. Now, this list here is something that they could ask you in the exam. They could say, for 5 marks, describe the role of system software. They often don't do that. This is usually a 1 or 2 marker, but they can do what they like. So if it asks you to come up with a series of things, you can talk about overseeing the computer system, supporting multitasking. That was something else I wanted to do actually while I was here, was talk to you about this concept of multitasking, right? Now, multitasking means doing more than one thing at the same time. You know the old sort of idea that women and girls can multitask, whereas boys and men can't. It's not entirely true. But a computer has to multitask because it's running multiple applications at the same time. And even allowing for having 2 or 3 or 4 cores, there aren't enough cores. If you've got 3 or 4 cores and you've got 5 or 6 applications open, it means that it's going to have to share the CPU's resources around these different applications. That's something else that the operating system will do. Okay, so we talked about controlling internal and external hardware through device drivers. It gives you a platform for applications to run. So, for example, Word or Excel or PowerPoint, they actually sit inside the operating system. It's the operating system that controls them. You don't actually get to have much to do with the hardware. The OS does that for you, okay? It provides you with an interface. We'll talk about interface in a minute. That was not a very straight line. It provides you with the interface, straightish line. And we've got 2 types of system software. Operating system software like Windows, like Linux, like OS X for Mac, and you've got utility software, and we'll talk about the difference between those. So first of all, your kind of opening gambit is, can you come up with a couple of points, any of these here, about the role of system software? What's it for? What does it do? All right, so that's your sort of opening gambit there. And then this I find really useful because it aids your understanding. So let's just run through this. I'm looking actually at this diagram here, okay? Just in case you're not happy with how this works, let's spend a little bit of time doing it. Let's work from the bottom up, just so that you're all happy with that, okay? So down here, go away. It does this, it drives me absolutely crazy. Although it is my fault for repeatedly clicking on it. Let's go here. Right, the hardware. You don't have much to do with the hardware. when you turn it on, it's the operating system that deals with it. And that's because the operating system sits just above the hardware. It manages all the hardware for you, and you control the hardware through a piece of software which happens to be the operating system. The applications, Word, PowerPoint, Spotify, Chrome, Safari, whatever it is, they sit on top of the operating system, and you, us wonderful people, we sit at the very top. So we control everything through the operating system. And yes, of course, when you're using an application like Word or PowerPoint, that's what you're using. But the point is that is sat on top of the OS. It's the OS that's doing all the hard work underneath, okay? And there's been many, many, many different types of operating system. Windows release a new one every year or two, don't they? Oh, I actually didn't mention this too. So, right, what does the OS do? It enables applications to use hardware resources. So applications like Word, it allows Word to access the CPU. And, Leon, good man. How are you? The man himself. Indeed, nice to see you, Leon. Welcome. So it allows applications to use hardware resources. So it allows Word the CPU power that it needs, those clock cycles, and it also gives the CPU the RAM it needs to actually, the memory it requires to do whatever it's doing, okay? So we know that in the story of what happens when you turn the computer on, we know when you turn the computer on, first of all, it looks at the BIOS chip, okay? The BIOS chip actually gets the computer started, doesn't it? It gets the computer running, checks to make sure it uses post power on self-test to make sure that everything that is required to run a computing environment is there, and then it hands over to the operating system, and it loads the RAM. It loads the operating system into RAM, and then the OS takes over. So that's your story there. So after the BIOS, it's the next piece of software loaded. So the BIOS just gets everything going, makes sure it's the right environment to run a PC, and then the OS takes over. All right, so that's the story there. One that I have told you many, many, many times. Right, user interface. We have got 3 flavors. So just to be clear, whatever you're looking at to watch this presentation, we've got 8 people in. Do say hello. It'd be nice to welcome you. When you are using the operating system, you've got 3 different types. Yes, I was going to say, whatever you're looking at right now, that is your OS, okay? So we're all pretty used to Windows, we're pretty used to OS X, you're used to the operating system on your phone, whether it's iOS or whether it's Android or whether it's whatever. I think most of them are now based on Android, the ones that aren't Windows. Maybe the Google one's different. Don't know. Anyway, so we've got 3 different flavors, types of operating system to look at. Let's pick the easy one first of all, okay? And that is the graphical user interface. And that's the one that you're looking at now. And this is familiar on most devices. Every Windows device has got a graphical user interface. Every phone has got a graphical user interface. We'll have a look at WIMP, Windows Icons, Menus, Pointers, which is a good list of things you can learn. Nice little acronym there. And it features, what does it contain? What does it consist of? A GUI, as they say in the trade. A GUI features a desktop, which is the thing you're looking at, where applications and objects are represented by icons. The icons are the other square things you double click on. I know you know this, but I'm treating it as though you don't, okay? So that is your graphical user interface. We've then got the second one, which can be explained really easily by saying cash point, or what do the Americans call it? ATM, an automatic teller machine. The people who work in banks at the front desk in America are called tellers rather than bank clerks, whatever we call them, okay? So a menu-driven interface uses menus to control the devices. It's quite popular on early mobile phones. I'm thinking Nokia brick phone here, okay, where you've got lists of things to choose from. So a menu, that's when you click on a drop-down and it gives you a list of options. That's what they mean by menus, okay, as opposed to icons, which are those squares that you double-click on to open an application usually. And they're used, yes, I've given it away, in cash machines, fast EPOS stands for electronic point of sale. So, for example, if you go to McDonald's, and I'm not suggesting that you do, but if you do go there and you go to the drive-through, or any restaurant actually, they use a menu-driven system for the till. So because they want to train teenagers like you up to work there in a couple of hours, they make it really simple. So all you've got to do is press a Big Mac and then press large and then press with Coke and then press, and that's it. And then the stuff arrives. Okay, so it's a really simple system to use. All right, so you've got the menu-driven system. The last one is the command line interface, and this was the only way that you could interact with the early computers. And I got my first copy of it was the very first copy of Windows that I had on my computer. And I mean, the graphical user interface, people were just astonished. You can click on icons, you've got a mouse. It was unbelievable. Okay, so command line interface is still used by advanced users because it gives you far more control. And that's literally where you've got what's called a command prompt. Q, try and draw a command prompt. You'll recognize this. Here we go. Stand by for a terrible diagram. Oh, okay. Stand by for nothing at all for me doing that again. Stand by, this time, for a terrible diagram. There we go. That's a command prompt. And then you just type your code in here. Okay? So that's what it is. And when you see movies of TTV Oddglitch, Guten Tag indeed, wie geht's, alles in Ordnung, ich hoffe. He said with a terrible German accent, never mind. So yes, nice to see you. Welcome. So that's your command line interface, okay? So it's still used by Linux users, gives you way more control, but it's difficult to use because you have to know MS-DOS or whatever language you're working in, okay? And MS-DOS was the language that you used with early Windows computers. It's still there, but people increasingly just use a graphical user interface because it's easier. Okay, so now let's look at the pros and cons. Was there anything else on that page? I didn't look at the first bit, actually. Yes, if they ask you what is the purpose of a GUI, okay, that's my worst one yet. Let's try and do this more organized, in a more organized way. There we go. So what does the user interface give you? What does it provide? It provides the user with an interface to interact with the computer. There's a good one marker there. So just make sure you've got the idea that it gives the user a way of interfacing or interacting with the computer, okay? With an interface to interact, yeah, okay? So same sort of thing. That's what you're going to say if they ask you what it is. We have 11 in. Please do say hello. Good numbers, been building slowly. Really, I would think about the things I'm pointing out are the list that they could possibly ask you in, 2 or 3 days, whenever the exam is. It's not 2 or 3 days, but it's not far away, is it? So we've got graphical user interface, which is the one that we all use. What is the benefit of this? Well, the first thing is that a graphical user interface is relatively easy and intuitive to learn, okay? It's simple to learn, and that's why most of us use it. You can teach someone to use it really, really quickly. It is a fabulous way of interacting with the computer, which is why it's been the most enduring way of actually interacting with a computer, okay? So relatively easy to use. And intuitive means you can pick it up quite quickly. That's the idea of being intuitive. It doesn't require specialist knowledge. There's your second mark. However, if you have to say a third thing or give a negative side to a graphical user interface, it can be inefficient for complex functions. So if you're looking, oh, you can't see me. That is a terrible thing. I can see that. Thank you, Hassan. Let me say, hi, Hassan. How are you doing? That's because my camera's run out. Hang on a second. Let me just swap over my battery. I thought I would let it actually die. This is multitasking. I'm talking nonsense and changing a camera battery at the same time. Honestly, it's pretty impressive. No, I know. Hang on. I need to get the battery sorted out. Yeah, hang on. Ugh. Now let's see. Did I charge this one up? Oh, ta-da! Hello. There we go. I hadn't turned into a witch in the time that I was gone, which is jolly handy. All right, or a demon. So that was, I hope you're relaxed now, you can see me. I can't think that's improved things. So hopefully, Hassan, I've dealt with that, okay? Oh, it's okay. Good, I'm glad. We were all concerned there. Right, the last one is the command line interface. And again, really, we talked about what it is. It's a command prompt, which is that thing that I talked about. And what is good about it, it is an efficient way of interacting, but it does, on the negative side, require expert knowledge. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things that you can say about these different types of interfaces. I've tried to cut that down. Gabriel, I'm glad to have allayed your fears, although I am struggling to believe that not seeing my face for a few minutes is anything other than a joyous thing. Although that sort of black square at the bottom is quite unnerving, isn't it? Yeah, live life stress-free. That's a very good plan, Hassan. Good. I'm glad you do. Don't become ahead of year. Do you know what? I'm all about nostalgia. This is all about revisiting the good times. I don't think many people think about a month before the exam as being good times, but listen, we've got to take it where we can, okay? Bon. Right, so that is memory management. Right, peripheral management. Peripheral devices, this word here, which I must say, I've struggled to actually say this word, peripheral. I've got to say it slowly. Peripherals are all things like printers, plotters, headphones, speakers, anything like that. Peripheral management. This is something else the operating system does for you. And in fact, I could have just looked at my blinking presentation and told you that peripherals are devices that are attached to a computer like printer or speakers, okay? So I talked a bit earlier, so I won't fuss around with this for much longer, about device drivers and the fact that the programs that are used to access these devices are called device drivers, okay? And these drivers are software, and they translate commands from the OS to commands the device will understand. So the device driver is a bit like a translator between it's not a translator in terms of a compiler or a translator, but it actually enables the hardware, the computer, and the OS to speak to devices, okay? But they you should know what it is to understand it, but they very rarely ask about device drivers. All right, user management. So if you think about it, when you've got your operating system on your computer at home, when you open it up, you can have as many users on that computer as you want to. So you simply can add more users. So for example, on this computer that I've got here, which is a relatively powerful one, my daughter might do some work for her music tech A-level, right? So she's got her own login, so she can go in there and do what she needs to do, because I don't need to see all of her files. There's no benefit to it, all right? So, Laura, is that you? Laura from, blimey, was it last year? Can't be. Really? How are you? Gosh, if it's you, great. If it's you, lovely to see you. Okay, user management, just to pick who Laura was, manages users by allowing users to be created and deleted. 1 mark, okay? Please just work without doing that. Give me the strength to carry on. Good, I got it finally. Allows individual users to be created, 1 mark, and deleted, 2 marks. You can manage user access levels. So for example, people can be given different rights. Users can be given different rights depending on what rights you want to give them. So for example, at school, think about the shared area. I've got right access to it. I can edit and add files to it. All you can do is look at files and download them to your area, okay, or email them to yourselves. You can't actually get in and change anything because you've only got read access. So that's an example of what rights could be, okay? Administrator rights. So for example, I can't install things on the yeah, that is why you can't delete System 32. It's been put in there precisely for you, Leon, funnily enough. And of course, all schools know that in every cohort, we've got a couple of kids who could, in theory, bring the system down. So they've got some very clever things. Don't speak to Leon too much because he'll lead you astray. So you can manage access levels that way, okay? You can also manage the settings in the user profile, and it gives you a method for users to gain access to the system. So I'd personally pick the first 2 or 3 of those and just make sure you've got a couple of things to say about user management. But fundamentally, they might just ask you about the features of an OS and what it can do, and user management is one of those. Right, now we get to this one, which is file management. This list here, which when you look at it, is absolutely as obvious as the noses on your face. And I'm not saying you've got big noses. I'm just saying it's as obvious. I'm digging a bigger hole as the noses on your face, right? It's really easy and straightforward to understand. What can you do in File Manager? You can open files. You can create files. You can search for files, delete them. You can restore deleted files. Yep, you can move and you can copy files. Now, they have done questions in the past, but they've done a 6 marker for this. Open, create, search, delete, move, copy. 6 marks. I mean, if that turns up, you are in a good place, okay? So that's what you need to think about. So this is file management. The biggest danger with not doing well in this section of the course is that it's stuff that you know, so you tend to take it for granted and think, oh yeah, I know that. But you've got to have that list of things. And if I was to cherry pick the question they're most likely to ask, this one here is the one that tends to crop up more than others. But we don't know what is going to be in the exam. If I did know, I'd tell you, and they don't tell me, so we just don't know. I'm not allowed to see the exam before you get it, for very good reasons. Okay, let's see if you know anything. I told you it's 25 minutes. Let's see if any of you can answer any of these. Is the most important software that runs on a computer. This is far too simple, this one. What is the... can you see it after we get it? Pass. D, shall we see if you are correct? Because that was ridiculously straightforward, wasn't it? So let's give you a ding. You can also have a random quote from a film. Let's see if anyone knows.
Bad feeling about this.
What that film is. Okay, what about this one? What type of software is needed to control the computer's hardware? Is it system software, bespoke software, programming software? And by the way, let's have a look. Loads of you were right here. Insum9X, you were right. Gabriel, you were right. Umesh, welcome, you were right. And Tanmay, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. TT. Yeah, not a millionaire though. So how legendary am I really? And Leon has said E, which is outstanding. Was there an option E, Leon, or have you gone bonkers? I'm not quite sure which one. So Ray has said D for application software. Insum9X has said A. Shall we see what the answer is? The answer is A, system software. So system software is there to sort of control more for the health of the computer. And I will show you something about that next time. What about this? Oh, this is too easy. I can't be doing with that one. Let's find something a bit harder. Okay, what about this one? Which type of user interface contains Windows icons, menus, and pointers? Is it A, CLI, B, GUI, or C, menu interface? Gosh, I'll tell you what, Ray was quick there with a B. That was outstanding. That was very impressive. Okay, that was. I have to give you a round of applause for that. You can have an evil laugh instead. That doesn't really fit, but something a bit exciting there. And yes, Leon's gone for option 9. Good to see you on planet Mars now, Leon. Thank you for coming. Gabriel has said B, which is quite correct. Leon said B. Ray has said yay. You're a superstar, Ray. You go straight to the top of the class. Unlike that, Leon, hopeless boy. Right. What about this one? Dividing tasks so the OS system appears to multitask is... Does this make any sense, or did I read it really badly? Dividing tasks so that the operating system appears to multitask, comma, is dealt with under... Which of these do you think? It's a slightly more difficult question. I know the last comment is Ray saying yay, so... and ha ha ha. Okay, the next one is, we've got a quick answer from Insum9X, who has said D. We've got Ray, who said D. Slightly pipped to the post by Insum9X. And we've got Umesh, who has also said D. Shall we see how correct you absolutely are? I build the pressure here. The answer is C. No, it's not. The answer is actually... Dividing a certain multitask is dealt with that. It's actually A. It's actually A, by the way. So you're all wrong, including me, because I ticked the wrong answer there. Honestly, you can't get the staff. You can't get the staff. You just can't do it. It's hopeless. Honestly. Computer science teachers. What about this one? Operating systems will allocate sections of RAM to the processor as part of... I've got the right answer for this one. Is it? So this is for RAM. Hopefully this is easy, isn't it? What do we think? The last one I've got here is, let's see if it was D. So let's see what the next comment that is the one that... we've got Insum9X saying D. You are fast. We've got Umesh saying D. We've got Leon saying this is D. He's also become a snake. And we've got Tanmay, who we should take outside and shoot, because that is not the right answer. It is D. So let's give everyone a big round of applause, apart from Tanmay, who goes to, you can wear the dunce's hat and sit facing the board. Okay, so that's good. Memory management. Right, brilliant. Let's try this one. What about this? We'll just do a few more of these. I'll do this for 1 more minute, because then I said it'd be half an hour today, a nice short one. If an OS has the ability to run more than one program simultaneously, what is that called? It's the my purposely chosen words. Ray has said B. Umesh has said B. Umesh was first, to be fair, Umesh. So Umesh B, Ray B. Shall we see? Ooh, a lot of Bs. We've got Gabriel who said B. I like the car. Nice in pink as well. Tamme has said B. Rayanch, good man, how are you? Nice to see you, has also said B. BBBB, come on, says Leon. I think he's joking. It is B, multitasking. You guys are outstanding. Okay, boom, we've got that. So we're going to look at utility software next time. I'm actually going to probably do utility software and something else next time. I didn't want to get into defragmentation today because it's the one that people always mess up. So I want to give that a bit more time next week. Guys, you've been absolute stars. Half an hour, I think, is enough of an ask after 5 hours of sitting and listening to people like me. I think that's more than enough. Yes, you are right, Tamme. It was B that time. Gabriel, you are welcome. So next time we'll do these guys, okay? So I'll see you 5:30 in exactly a week's time, and we'll go for it then. You're the real Ray. I'm just confused. All right, guys, have a lovely evening. It's actually not too dismal out there, and I will see you all tomorrow. No problem at all. Thanks, Tamme. I will see you guys next time, okay? Take care. Bye, 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 bye.